When most free-to-play players start Call of Dragons, they spread resources everywhere. Multiple heroes, multiple troop types, multiple marches, and a few months later, their account is weak. But strongest free-to-play players all do one thing differently. They hyper focus on one single march. So in this video I will show you the best one march setup for free to play players, the heroes you should invest in, and the mistakes that permanently ruin your free to play accounts. So let's not waste too much time and let's start checking the heroes and one march setups for every single troop type in the game, right? As always, since I'm archer main, I will start with archer, but I will have to say one thing. We have to exclude the beginner's heroes, because when you start the game, not every single hero is available. So at first I will do beginner heroes, and later stages of the video I will share the best setup, best one march hero pairs for every single troop type. So basically, for archers, let's say for beginners, and beginners means that you are playing this game for 2 or 3 months maximum, right? That's the beginner stage of the game. At the start of the game, for archer gameplay, you have Kinara and Nico, right? This is the basic heroes for archer gameplay, and basically these heroes are pretty good, right? Currently I'm on a season 3, playing this game for 3 years, and I'm still using Inara on a separate hero pair and Nico on a separate hero pair, which means it's a really valuable addition for your one march setup, because in the future you are going to use these heroes pretty valuably, right? Kinara is more of a debuffer. You shouldn't really expect a lot of merits from Kinara, because Kinara doesn't really do a lot of damage. Nico, at the other hand, does more damage than Kinara. Also, Nico's precision talent tree is really valuable against behemoths, right? So, if you want to run behemoths lineup, you will go for Nico as a primary, and I believe if you want to go for the open field PvP, more debuff style, you will run Kinara as a primary. One good thing about these heroes, both of them are PvP heroes, which means every single skill which you are going to use, which you are going to increase level, is valuable, because we don't have engineering skill, we don't have rally skill, and we don't have garrison skill, which means they are perfectly suitable for open field PvP gameplay. So for the beginners, archer hero pair one march setup, especially for free-to-play players, would be Kinara and Nico. And if you are going to awaken both of the heroes, it will be a good point for your account, especially if you are a free-to-play player. Of course, we have to mention the artifacts. Well, Rattle Spear is a perfect artifact for this march. We like defense penetration, defense breaks on archer hero pair, since the infantry is so strong in Call of Dragons. Without defense break and defense penetration, it's pretty hard for archers to deal any damage. So Rattle Spear should be the choice. If not, then Shadow Blades, even more free-to-play friendly artifact for this march. And of course, for the Warped, Snow Peak Rock is a perfect Warped for this scenario, because we're gonna get a defense break from the awakening skill of Kinara, and a defense break you're gonna get from the first skill of Nico, right? So you basically will always proc concentration whenever you are using this lineup. Also, if you don't want to build the Snow Peak Road because it's pretty expensive, Sand Lizard always the choice, not the perfect choice, but for free-to-play players, it's really cheap to actually build Sand Lizard. That's why, of course, we have to mention this one, right? Since this is mainly video for free-to-play players in Call of Dragons. So the beginner one march setup, Kinara and Nico for the archer gameplay, and let's move towards Cavalry, which is which is really interesting, right? For Cavalry One-March setup, generally Cavalry players don't play One-March, but when you are a free-to-play player, you have to understand which ones are great ones. As always, let's at first say the beginner setup. Emrys and Bakshi, the same as Kinara and Nigo, especially Emrys will be valuable addition and valuable hero if you are going to awaken him, because you can see how many cavalry heroes are already available in Call of Dragons, but Emrys is still one of the best heroes in the game for cavalry players, right? I would say, like, in terms of best, Emrys, Urag and Neya is the best heroes for Cavs, and it's really good that Emrys is gettable from the gold keys, which means perfect match for free-to-play players. Generally, if you want to have more mobility, more march speed, you are going to run Emrys as a primary hero. If you want to have more damage, you are going to run Bakshi with the skill talent tree, right? One bad thing about Bakshi, we have one peacekeeping talent, one peacekeeping skill, which means we have one less skill in open field PvP. So this is the perfect One-March setup for free-to-play players, beginners especially. I'm not saying this is the best one out of all cavalry heroes, but well, the basic heroes are really crucial for free-to-play players. That's the reason why we have to speak about them. The artifact, well, we have a variety of choices in terms of artifacts. Kingslayer is great, gettable from the normal draw. Solan's Blade, weaker version of Kingslayer. For more mobility, you will go for Storm Arrows, and of course Wolf, Woman of Hailor for some sneaky gameplay, especially if you are running One-March setup with your cavalry heroes. So for beginners, for beginner free-to-play players, Emrys and Bakshi is the perfect choice. If you are cavalry main, good luck. This is going to be staying with you even in the late game, because as I mentioned, Emrys is still one of the best cavalry heroes in the game. Let's move towards infantry, right? And we all know infantry in early game, in the beginner stage, is not that strong, but more and more you are playing Call of Dragons, infantries are getting better and better. So the best One-March setup for beginners as a free-to-play players should be Garwood and Eliana. Garwood and Eliana is pretty good, especially if you don't have second legendary hero for the infantry, but Garwood and Madeline should be the best One-March setup for infantry mains at the beginner stages of the game, right? Both of them has tank talent tree, which I really appreciate, because it's gonna give you way more tankiness than some offensive talents. And yeah, one bad thing, Garwood is Garrison, which means, well, actually, Garwood's every single skill is usable in open field. I forgot that we got an update on Garwood. Before the second skill was Garrison, now it's just the HP bonus 10%, which is always good, right? And Madeline, PvP hero, every single skill is usable in open field, and that should be the March, which I believe every infantry main should be running, especially at the start of the game, and especially if you are a free-to-play player. Well, Garwood and Madeline, both of them you can put in gold keys, and slowly you are going to awaken both of the heroes. And of course, later you're gonna play as an infantry player, the more and more powerful you are going to get. For the artifacts, it's pretty simple. I run Fang of Ashkari on my Garwood. Really good artifact. I know the skill is not impressive, but with my infantry, only thing I want to have is tankiness, right? That's why Fang of Ashkari can be a choice. Other than that, of course, there are some offensive artifacts for infantry, but I don't believe these ones are great. Maybe at the start of the game, Dragon Scale Armor can be fine, even the Deathless Wine. I believe Deathless Wine is way better than Dragon Scale Armor. And of course, in some situations, even better than Fang of Ashkari, right? So the Deathless Wines are gettable from the normal draws, so just get it. It will be nice. Has amazing skill, basically stuns 3 legions in circle. Basically really fun and really cool skill of a Deathless Wine. For the war pet, I believe Venomous Lizard is the best war pet, especially during the beginning, because you don't have every single war pet at the start of the game. Venomous Lizard has a chance to deal highest damage from the war pet, because when somebody is actually attacking you, you are applying a poison towards them, and poison is really good feature because it deals damage every second. So yeah, Venomous Lizard should be the choice of the war pet for you, right? For the mages, of course, we have mages in the game, and for the beginners, so best One-March setup for mages, especially if you are a free-to-play player, should be, unfortunately, Waldir and Wellin, right? Because at the start of the game, if you want to use Lilia, you have to spend money in the game, so that's not the perfect choice for the free-to-play players, right? But Waldir and Wellin can be a good hero pair for at least one season. After that, when new heroes are coming out, of course, you want to exchange your Waldir to other legendary hero, because, well, I know Waldir is great, but he is still epic hero, has epic hero stats, epic hero buffs, which is way less than legendary hero. So that's the idea I have. I actually played Waldir and Wellin for more than one season when I started the game, and it was pretty nice. Of course, when you continue playing the game in Season 2, Season 3, Waldir doesn't really do much, but at the start of the game, they will do enough work by themselves, right? So Waldir and Wellin, I would say Artifact Phoenix Eye should be the choice. Breath of the Gigantes also can be the choice. This was just added to normal draws. And Tear of Arbon, right? These three artifacts are gettable from the normal draws, so pretty good artifact depending on your gameplay. So basically, this was the beginner setup, beginner One-March setup. Right now, we are going to move towards the best One-March setup all around the heroes, right? Currently, since I'm in a Season 3 and plus, playing this game for 3 years, for Archer gameplay, the best One-March setup was Magrat and Zaida, right? Without question, this hero pair was and still one of the best ones, but unfortunately or fortunately, they are not number one right now. But for maybe 1.5 years, Magrat and Zaida was the best One-March setup for the Archer gameplay. They came out in G3, they are G3 heroes, so if you are going to invest your legendary tokens on Magrat and Zaida, you are still doing a good job. They are still one of the best One-March setup, centered around healing and normal attack damage. But after the addition of G5 archers currently in Call of Dragons, Ruby and Kylan is the all-around best One-March setup for archer players and archer mains. Of course, if you're gonna have Magrat and Zaida and Ruby and Kylan, that's big plus because you will have number one best archer hero pair and number two best archer hero pair in your arsenal. For Magrat and Zaida, Gilded Crossbow is the artifact which you have to have. This is the amazing artifact, and of course Shadow Manticore, which is one of my favorite war pets in the game, right? For the Ruby and Kylan, well, Roaring Rager, one of the most unique artifacts in the game, and Wind Weasel is the war pet for this setup. So basically, if you don't want to wait until Ruby and Kylan, you will get Magrat and Zaida. If you already got Magrat and Zaida, then go for the best one, that's Ruby and Kylan. Now let's go and let's move towards Infantry, right? As I mentioned regarding Infantry, they have been one of the best troop types in the game with the addition of new heroes, right? Same goes as I mentioned with the archers. Well, G2 infantry heroes have been one of the best ones for a long time, which is Goresh and Skogul, right? But since we are talking about the best One-March setup, then I believe Kuma and Joren and Lake One, right? Depending whichever hero you want to actually get, these three heroes are just too good. If you would ask me which hero is the best hero for infantry players, that's, I would say, still Kuma, right? Because I feel like Kuma is the most tanky, Joren deals most counter-attack damage, So I would say you can even pair Kuma and Joren together. I believe it will do its job still fine, right? But if you are looking for the tankiest, Kuma and Lake 1 might be the most tanky hero pair for infantry players, and if you are going to invest your legendary tokens, especially on Kuma, you are going to do a great job. If you want something before Kuma, Goresh and Skogul is amazing choice with the Spirit Bone Torque, with the Bruin Bear. For the Kuma and Lake 1, well, they are just too good, right? Like sometimes if you have an amazing war pet and you understand how to play the game, sometimes it feels like that this hero pair is unkillable. Like there have been a lot of moments when I was sitting with the 5 March and yeah, it just took too much time to actually defeat this March, right? Let's go and let's check Mage heroes. Fortunately, Mages got finally amazing hero, which is Young Ming, right? Young Ming and Goromara G4 Mages finally gave Mages the strengths and the ability to get a lot of merits. I believe Young Ming is the best Mage hero. Well, I truly believe you can pair anything with Young Ming, you're gonna still do a good job, right? Young Ming and Goromara, Young Ming and Thundalin, Young Ming and Thalia, Young Ming and Welin, Young Ming and Thea, right? Now, if you're gonna say one March setup for mages, I would say one man setup, because Young Ming just makes everything super good. It has every damage which was necessary for all the mage players, because we all know for mages single target damage is not that valuable, right? So Young Ming and Goromara, the one March setup, which can be super amazing, but unfortunately these are G4 heroes, right? But if you want to have something closer, then I would say Musyang, legendary Musyang, and Thea, right? With Celestials, they will do its job. They won't gonna deal a lot of damage, but the tankiness and survivability which these heroes will bring together is just super valuable. But of course, if you want to have the best one March setup, Young Ming should be always there, right? For the artifact, well, really easy. Dragon's Fate is the best artifact for that hero pair. For the Young Ming and the war pet, for sure, the Flaming Manticore should be the war pet for Young Ming and Goromara hero pair. So mages, if you want to have a best one March setup, just use Young Ming and pair with anything, even your Welin, which you will be awakening at the start of the game. For the Cavalry players, of course, as I mentioned, they like to run 5 marches, but let's say you want to have one March, best one March setup. That's for sure Urag and Neya, right? Urag deals highest damage. Neya brings the feature which is only available for Neya March, which is camouflage, right? Camouflage is basically invisibility, right? You're gonna be sneaking up on enemies and you are going to deal huge amount of damage from the Urag and Neya, right? I believe if you want to deal more damage, you're gonna run Urag as a primary because of the skill talent tree. If you want to have more march speed, then Neya should be the primary. Both of the heroes are PvP heroes, which means every single upgrade will be valuable for the open field gameplay. For the artifact, I believe Lunaris should be the primary artifact. More camouflage, more invisibility synergies will be perfect choice, and this should be the choice of the artifacts for this hero pair. So let's have a conclusion, right? Best one March setup for archers are Ruby and Kailan. Best one March setup for cavalry is Urag and Neya. Best one March setup for infantry currently is Kuma, Lake 1 or Kuma and Joren. Best one March setup for mages are Young Ming and Goromara, or Young Ming and Thundalin, or even Young Ming with Welin. Basically, Young Ming is the one main army. So that's the reason why I wanted to share the ideas, because for the free-to-play players, we understand that we don't have unlimited amount of legendary hero tokens. That's why every single skill which you are going to upgrade, you have to think that if you are doing it correctly, because I believe free-to-play players should invest their tokens in heroes which will be valuable in a long period of time. If you're gonna invest in hero which will be bad in like 2 seasons, you are basically throwing away your legendary tokens, which are the best and rarest reward in Call of Dragons. So yeah, these are the best One-March setup for all the free-to-play players. Hopefully you guys are going to use it. As always, if you like the video, press like, subscribe, share. It always gives me more and more motivation to make more content for this game. I wish everybody an amazing day, morning and night. We are going to see each other really soon. Bye bye and good luck.